Why work with forms in Qigong? As you may already know this, the term Qi, Gong in Chinese means energy skills. However, in this definition, it has nothing to really do with the body. It's about our mastery of energy. Nonetheless, in contemporary Qigong, most of the practitioners, it's only form. It's actually no energy. In the way we teach Qigong in the art of Qi, there is both form as well as the formless. The formless is what is stressed. However, the form is often, not always, a delivery mechanism to understand the formless. So in today's video, I will be dissecting and breaking down the pedagogy of learning Qigong, as well as the meta theories and the meta concepts behind the forms themselves. I'm sure if you are curious in the realm of Qigong and you've been following, whether it's influencers on Instagram, watching people doing demonstrations on YouTube, having read books, you will begin to understand that there are quite literally thousands of different forms. And oftentimes, as a beginner, it almost gets a bit overwhelming on what school of Qigong to learn. So if you do feel that there's a bit of craziness and chaos in this space and you're not really sure who to learn from, let's first begin to understand why there are so many forms and the right approach to practicing forms. Now, within the thousands of forms that are out there, the forms themselves are meant to be teaching you about formless principles, principles of energy, principles of consciousness, principles of being. So a good Qigong teacher would be able to extract out the essence of these formless principles and have the most direct way of allowing you to experience the formlessness of what these forms are. For most teachers out there, they're stuck on the forms themselves, and their instructions really doesn't transcend beyond the forms. For us at Wisdom Tree, I don't like teaching forms first because, again, it gets people stuck in the physical, in the 3D. And the whole purpose of Qigong is to transcend the 3D, transcend the body and the physical material vessel. So what I like to do is actually allow students to feel the formless principle, to experience the formless principle internally, and then put it into forms themselves. The forms are essentially simply pointers to allow us to feel the formless essence. Once we can feel the formless essence, we can either keep the forms. Because we are in a physical vessel, we should keep active and develop our fascial alignment to better conduct energy. However, once a Qigong practitioner understands the formless essence, for them to continue down the path of internal alchemy, they can very much release the forms. Again, the forms themselves, they don't really help one cultivate the formless essence. They are simply a beginning tool and also a good tool to keep in good physical shape while you are doing the internal cultivations. So I'll give you a very quick demonstration of this. Most people, when they teach Qigong, one of the first movements they'll do, and I'm gonna do this sitting down, so it might look a bit weird. I'm gonna do this first physically. It's just moving the arms up and down. So for someone that is not initiated into the art of internal alchemy and don't have the senses open, for them, any movement that any teacher would do would virtually look the same. It's like a baby or someone who doesn't have any experience to reference from. They don't know what a difference between a hobbyist soccer player versus a professional athlete. However, once you have developed the clairvoyant eye, you'll begin to understand that there's a difference between just moving like this and moving energy. And it is with this latter quality that we aim to develop. So this simple movement of this, what it teaches you in the formless level is how to bring energy up and how to bring energy down. And then there could be different sequences of that. You can bring the energy from outside and around your torus field into the Sushumna line, down into the central channel, into the lower dantian. Or you can bring the energy from the earth out and extend that out through your hands. And all of these forms are teaching you these formless energetic principles. And this is really why in the traditional Chinese medicine man, a prerequisite for them is to know the formless. They practice Qigong, they practice the movements every day in order to actually be able to manipulate these energies for the purpose of healing their patients. Opening up their Lao Gong, the central meridian point here, to issue out different healing energies for the patients that they work with. This type of practice is very much discontinued, and for the majority of Chinese medicine healers, they are no longer required to understand the formless essence, let alone Qigong. The moral of the story here is that although there are thousands of forms, the forms themselves simply teach you how to manipulate the energies in your body. And you only need a certain set of forms, and it doesn't really matter what type of forms, as long as they're good teachers that are embodied and actually understand the energetic, the formless mechanism of these forms. It doesn't require a whole lot of different forms to actually teach you the energetic mechanism of it. Once you understand the forms, you are then encouraged to release your dependency on the form. Now you can still keep the form as a daily yoga, as a daily physical practice to honor the body, but you need to release the hold of being able to move energy only through this movement to then just having your hand out and bring energy out without any movement. In the future, you want to be able to issue that without any indications whatsoever and just bring that energy out into whatever purpose you have. And obviously there's thousands of forms, there's thousands of subtle, intricate purposes of why we would actually issue these energies. So what we like to teach in the art of Qi is the spiritual science of constructing your own form. How we do that? By teaching you certain forms, but more so as pointers towards the formless principles. Once you understand these principles, you are then to release the forms, and you are empowered to create your own methodologies, to create your own 3D manifestations and your own art in expressing the formless essence of universal principles. Obviously, there's benefits and there's cons to this. The benefit of this is that there are no guardrails, so you're essentially given a roadmap towards your own mastery, and you're empowered yourself to really see through the fluff of a lot of the spiritual constructs out there, to dissect it into your own formula, and then to create your own process. The con to this is that with freedom comes a possibility of corruption. Now, it's my job to teach you the karmic load that you would have should you go astray. But if you are to do it, it would be on your burden to carry if you were to go into that. There are no safety guardrails. So if one is to approach the art of Qi training and any training of this sort that approaches spirituality as a science, then they are the master architect of their own spiritual development as opposed to a disciple and a follower. And obviously with great power comes great responsibility, as the Marvel saying would go. This isn't really a path for everyone. It's a path of one who wants their own spiritual sovereignty and who is almost has a heretical and a maverick personality that is against status quo. And inside you, somewhere deep inside, you feel a longing for your own individual spiritual sovereignty, as opposed to seeking to become a part of a spiritual community or some sort of spiritual cult or tradition. Again, there's pros and cons to each, and both processes can develop spiritual masters, mystics, highly respectable people. So I hope that gives you a good outline of the meta principles behind all the forms in Qigong, as well as the pedagogy that one must approach Qigong, approach finding the right teacher with the right mindset that can impart to them the universal principles, the formless essence of Qi, energy skills. So, if this content speaks to you, please drop us a like and a comment sharing with us your process and your own way towards your spiritual sovereignty and your discovery of energetic mastery. Continuing following us along, subscribe if you like, to hear more about how we at the Wisdom Tree Institute is bridging the ancestral wisdom of the East as well as the West in a modern scientific approach to develop our own unique healing modality. So I hope to hear from you shortly, and we'll keep in touch. Take care. Bye.